Okay, so I'm going to start recording now.
Before you start, my account for some reason says the reference account is currently locked out and you have to log on.
No, I need to resume recording there. So again, if anybody on call or something missed, we're making sure that our new version of Cali is being downloaded. And I'm going to move that to my ISO folder after I download it. And the Windows 10 is already on these machines. So while it's downloading and you're waiting on the downloads, we're going to start up Hyper-V. And we're going to create 2 virtual machines. Oh man, I got 2 security classes, so I got to remember that. Let's do Does everybody need their own? Both classes? Might as well. Everybody do their own thing. So let's go ahead and go new virtual machine. And whether you're local or remote, yeah, VirtualBox is okay. Yep, Nick, VirtualBox will work. VirtualBox may even work better for you. You might be able to do wireless hacking with VirtualBox. If you got Wi-Fi at your house, you might, and more than one machine, you might be able to use Cali to hack your Wi-Fi. Even if you have one machine, you might be able to do it that way. I don't know. You may not have a wireless dongle though on yours. Okay, so but everybody can create a virtual machine, and whether it's VMware, VirtualBox, or Hyper-V, it's all going to be pretty much the same settings. We're going to go next. We want to name our virtual machine AM space security space, and let's do Windows 10 for the first one. Windows 10 is a Generation 2 operating system, so we'll select Generation 2. The amount of memory for Windows 10, we'll use dynamic memory, and let's do 3 gig, which is 3072. Sounds like a good amount to me. We'll go next. For now, we're going to leave it not connected on the network interface because I don't want Windows 10 to go and grab Windows updates and install a bunch of Windows updates. We're wanting to just kind of throw and see what type of exploits we can do with an unpatched 1607 version. So we'll just go not connected and go next. The hard disk size, 30 gigs should be plenty for what we want to do. Installation options. If you've got the Windows 10 downloaded, then you can go ahead and attach the Windows 10. Install an operating system from a bootable image file, browse, and it should be at your C ISO. If you're not, go to C drive ISO and find your 1607. Where is my 1607? There it is. I was blind for a little bit.
I don't think I have that on my computer.
Hmm.
I don't know if I did the downloads.
Let's see, you're 11, right?
Yes.
Yeah, go to System, C drive. It should be on your computer. An ISO. Looks like up above. What's in that folder to Windows? No, that's a 1511. Well, I've got. Yeah, you've got it. Right in the middle screen. Hard to see. EN Windows 10.
This one?
Yep, that's it. I don't know why that file is so hard to see. And I even got my glasses on where I can see. Once you got the ISO in the list, you just click finish. And I'm not going to start that one up just yet. I'm going to create one for Kali Linux. A very similar scenario. I'm going to look, see how everybody else is doing. So yeah, it was a Gen 2, Ricky. And 3072. And check dynamic memory. Not connected is good. And we used, okay, just go next. So 30 gig for the drive size. Actually, before you do the Kali, go to the click installation, the radio button, install an operating system. Oh, yeah, that Ricky, that radio button there. Just move the radio button down to install an operating system, and then click browse, and then C drive, the ISO, and that one right there. Yeah, then you click finish. Check on. Okay, Ethan's doing one for what, Cali? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, go ahead and create a. I guess I'll go ahead and create the Cali one. We got to do some edit some settings. Since we are going to be hacking them, we don't want it to do some crazy stuff with RAM. So I'll create a second one. I'm going to name it AM Security, and I'll name it Cali. So the new virtual machine, AM Security, Cali. And we'll go next. And Cali is generation 2, I believe. We'll go next. The amount of memory, we'll give Cali 4096. We'll check dynamic memory. I don't know if Kali Linux supports it or not, but we'll go and check dynamic memory in case it does. We'll go next. We will connect this one to the bridged adapter so Kali Linux can get updates and stuff. Probably not totally needed, but we may want to have all of the updated exploits on it. So next again, virtual hard disk size should be 60 for Kali. When we go next, We're going to attach the Cali Iso. If you don't have the Cali Iso downloaded like at home or something, or like the Windows, you can attach it later. But we'll install an operating system, browse, and you may. The Cali is probably under downloads. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my Kali Linux out of downloads, and I'm going to paste it. You can paste it into your ISO folder on C drive. So I'm just moving mine from one to another. I can do that from this dialog box. And if it's not downloaded, you can just go ahead and finish out that Kali VM, and you can move that ISO image and attach it at a later time. Like I said, you can leave it on install operating system later if you don't have this downloaded yet. But if you did download it, it's on your downloads folder. You'll cut and paste it over into your ISO folder. Don't grab the 2019 one. We want the latest version, the 2020.2. I want you to get a little bit familiar with that before we do our wireless hacking lab, probably starting next week, because I've got these DVDs made out. We'll boot the machines up off of the DVD, run Kali Linux, do some Wi-Fi hacking with that. So I'm going to click finish. This class is the time slot where the internet is most active, from 10 o'clock to noon. So if you are doing remote, it may be the most sluggish time. I mean, I'm going to stop my video of me. That may speed up the internet. Yeah, host memory low. So Nick, you may need to set your RAM to 1024 instead of our 3 and 4 gig. So instead of doing the large chunk, just set it with, well, Windows 10 is actually going to need 2 gig. But you can set your Windows 10 to 2048, and you can probably set your Kali to 1024 and see if that will work.
I have a pop-up on my remote PC.
What's it say?
Windows Smart Screen can't be reached right now.
Oh, just click run. Now, we're going to edit these virtual machines before we start them. The reason we're going to edit these virtual machines before we start them, since we are going to be using some hacking tools and stuff, it could cause a memory runaway condition. Dynamic memory will allow the virtual machines to go past the amount of RAM that we selected as a startup in memory, and we could like DOS attack our own machines. So we need to set a limit, a maximum on our virtual machines out there because of the tools that we may run and accidentally play with. No, the .2. The .3 just came out. Does it have the date? When did the .3 come out? The 18th? Yeah. Yeah, but I'd already downloaded and prepped everything, and yep, that one there, that top one. Yes. It's also linked in Canvas under week 1. shouldn't have. Let's see, what's it showing? Why is, you shouldn't see that. Why are you seeing that? How is that being seen? No, don't go to modules, go to home. Quick week one. Probably hide modules. So apparently modules has some old modules out there for some reason. I don't know why that is. Okay. Yeah, everything should be linked off the homepage. Thank you for finding that. I don't know why that old was out there. You found something I didn't know was in the shelf. So that works out. I don't know if I remember after class to go fix that or not, but just when I set the canvas up, I'm always going to the main page and clicking those different weeks and editing those. So you found some defunct modules. Back end found them. But it was required that I had the modules link displayed. I was originally just going to have that hidden so you couldn't go that route. But no, you have to have that. So, okay, so we got our two VMs created. We're going to edit. I'll just start with Cali here. So I'm going to right click and go to settings. And there's a couple of things that need to change with Kali Linux. I'm going to first go to secure boot. And I'm going to uncheck secure boot because it is not a Microsoft product. And this Hyper-V is only going to allow Microsoft product to boot and install. That's one thing you have to do with a Linux OS. If you're using EFI, you typically turn off secure boot. The next thing I'm going to do is go to memory and the maximum memory. I'm going to change that to the 4096. If you're doing VirtualBox, VirtualBox doesn't do dynamic memory to my knowledge. So Paul, you should probably try to do some remote, especially like the Windows 10 install. So I recommended is, we haven't installed anything yet. We just created a Kali VM with 4 gig of RAM and a Windows 10 with 3 gig of RAM. And if you're remote, we can start the installers, and if the Kali Linux is too slow, you can just finish the Windows 10 installer and then finish the Kali on Friday when you're in person. So we'll see what we can get done. But yeah, so Kali Linux, we made 2 changes. We disabled secure boot so we can install it. And we went to the memory and we set the maximum RAM to 4096. So that other was like a terabyte or something. I don't know what number that was. It was ginormous. And if the program goes rogue, it could try to consume the entire 32 gig that we have running this host system and mess us up. So this is kind of security on us. We're stopping something called a DOS attack. A DOS is a denial of service. That'll be in security. Denial of service is kind of a good discussion point. Denial of service means you're denying service. You can deny access to Burger King. You could go out there and probably find the main breaker and flip it off. People couldn't get their burgers for lunch. That's a denial of service. It does not have to be technology. And I don't know how long the Burger King workers will take for them to figure out the main breaker was thrown and why they had power outage. They'd probably be calling energy and like, why is it out? So you go flip that about 11:50, cash registers go down, everybody's getting angry. They can't get Burger King. Of course, you're probably a Taco Bell or a Hardee's employee, doing that. Just like, haha, don't do that. You'll probably get thrown in jail. We'll have maybe security cams and stuff around. It's a good talking point for denial of service. You think denial of service, you think of people spewing packets over the internet and knocking out a website. It can be a lot more simpler than that, physically somehow cutting the wire or cutting the internet cable going to the business, that's a denial of service too. All of that's a thing you got to think about security. So I'm going to apply these settings. I'm going to do the same thing for the Windows 10 because now it can have secure boot. Windows 10 is a Windows product. Leave secure boot checked. We only make one change on Windows 10. And I'm going to change that to the 3072.
So if Windows 10 isn't on the virtual machines, do I need to install it again?
Let's see who's talking.
James.
Okay. So James, so your Windows, let me look at your screen. So you got AM Security Cali. I think, let me remote control. So that's your screen, right?
Yes.
I think that's yours.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
let's see if we can rename that. Rename. Yeah, somehow. There you go.
Okay.
And if you're creating these, like I said, say you're at home, because VirtualBox is going to have a different way to attach the CD. But once you've got them created, you can always come in and attach the image to the CD-ROM at a later time. So yeah, so Windows 10, 3072. If you're replicating this at your house, 2048 would be about as low as I'd want to do for Windows 10 and Kali Linux. It'd probably get about 1024, maybe kind of sluggish, but you can do probably 1024 for Kali and at a minimum 2048 for Windows 10. That'd consume 3 gig of your host OS. Okay, so Kali's created, maxed out at 4 gig. Windows 10's created, maxed out at 3 gig, was it? And I've got the ISOs attached. So if you're remote at this point in time, and even if we're here local, at this point in time, we're probably want to go ahead and start the Windows 10 installer. So right click and we'll connect. You'll hit the start button and you may have to hit space. You probably have to hit space to boot from CD-ROM. So after click this start button, I'm going to click inside the black window and then I'm going to just start hitting the space bar. So start, and I'm going to hit the space bar, and because it only gives you like 1 or 2 seconds to be able to hit that. If you're not sitting there tapping it while you hit start, it will jump right past it. Windows 10's easy install. There's only a couple of questions it asks. If it gets past and goes to James's screen of that right there, you hit the green play button again, and then you click in the window and start hitting the space bar, because that means it's you click reset on the dialog box, and then you click in there and hit space bar. Hopefully remote will let you do that. Yep, it did it. So just do a default install of Windows 10.
I don't think it's letting me do it.
On yours, yeah, yours is working. You just go
Is that
next.
where it's supposed to be?
Yeah, it should say Windows and you just go next there. And then install. Yep.
Huh.
So that's a good, that screen right there is a really good critical thinking skill. What do you think? So if you read both of those, what would you have to select? So I hear custom, and that's the correct answer. Why is that correct answer? See, there's no other operating system. You're not upgrading anything. It's a blank virtual machine, brand new. So you don't have Windows 8 that you're upgrading. That'd be the only reason you do an upgrade is it's an existing machine that you booted the CD up off of. Most 90% of the time, you're always going to do a custom. And just the next, and it's off and running. So this next part, you remote people, you can actually start the Cali install if you're remoting in and doing this on our machines here. And it may be that the Cali runs so slow that you just have to go back to the Windows 10, but it would continue to run through processes, and it would be here for Friday when you get here at the point you leave off. But we need to go ahead and try to install Cali. Even if you're remote, we'll see if this will work. So if we're in class, see, some people's getting really far on the Windows 10, but let's go to our Cali. What's Ricky's got? It already. Bring up File Explorer for me, because I can't see it on your screen. File Explorer. Okay, so got this PC, this drive. Well, it shows it's already there. That's weird. Yeah, we'll go and tell it to do that. That's funky. Did you set your Windows 10? So you had to uncheck that. You know, top 4096 there. And hit OK. Did you do that on your Windows, the memory? Okay, so you right click settings and just the memory, not the secure boot. Put 3072. And hit OK. Okay. You look. Now you have your mouse back. Okay, so you notice I just closed my Windows 10 out and I'm letting it do the install in the background. Now I'm going to start my Cali up and connect to it. I don't know that we have to hit the space bar. I think if you just click start, I think Cali goes straight to the menu screen to do a graphical install. I don't know that it times out and just runs to the install. I think it just sits here. So when you start Cali, you can click inside the window and hit enter. And hopefully that works out for people that are doing it remote. It may be really slow and cumbersome, but maybe we can get through the install screen. There'll be some errors about media. You just ignore the errors at the bottom of the screen. I believe I have a YouTube video on this already posted to week 1 on Cali install. So we're just going to pick for English. I don't think I could read much anything else. Just make sure it's defaulted to English, because I have seen some virtual machines, it would pick a different, I don't know why, a different language. I'm going to continue. We're in the United States for our location. So just to continue again, it's defaulting to American English. That's great. I love that. I'm going to just hit continue again. It's really complicated, right? So hopefully your remote people are able to at least hit the continue button. It's the keyboard that gets really weird and choppy. When it comes up and asks for a password, I don't know if our remote people can, how that's going to work. It normally wants to, when you hit a key, it sometimes wants to hit the key 10 times every time you hit the key. So you'll hit P and it'll be like 10, 11 keys out there on the board. So type in passwords, that may be an issue. We'll see. If we get to the point where you're typing the password and you can't type it, then you'll just leave it and close the window out and do it when you get here on Friday. But most stuff we can do with clicking by the mouse. $14, something weird. Let's look at yours. So you're trying to boot Cali. That looks like the ISO is not attached or something. So we disable secure boot. That's good. Cali installer is there. You're right. That's weird. Yeah. Yeah. You moved it. You like selected it and then you moved it, I think. Then it's like, I can't find the file. That's what it was. Okay, host name. Host name. We'll put our computer number. So everybody knows what computer they're at. You just put your computer number at the end. And this is what will be interesting for your remote people if you're able to type your computer number. It's like Bethany is able to get hers in there. So I'll be Cali 20. And y'all be Cali, whatever your computer number is. And I'll just continue. The domain name is csnt.edu. Is the domain for this room. It's the DHCP is getting its IP addresses from, is on the csnt.edu domain. I teach a virtualization class, and so we might be able to attack some virtual machines on the VMware class. No, CS. Computer Systems Networking Technology, csnt.edu. Okay, so you remote people, how is the typing working? Looks like it's going in. Is it somewhat usable? That's cool. Maybe we'll look out. This is a newer version than what we did last spring, and remote PC may also be newer. They may have fixed some stuff. I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and continue. I was really worried about the typing of this. So new user. Let's just use student. Full name for the new user. Yeah, student's good enough. The user account name. We'll use student again. This, you may want to hit the little checkbox to see your password. We'll just use pass1234. Especially your remote people, that you can make sure it's taking the password correctly. Cool. I'm proud of remote PC so far. It may be different after Cali's fully booted and all the drivers are going. But okay, what time zone do we live in? Central. That's cool. They don't make us pick cities. A lot of times they'll make you pick city, like Chicago. It'll be a good time to take a break in just a little bit. You go outside and take the mask off and let your face air out. We're going to use the entire disk, just the top option. So leave that at default on the partitioning. There's only one disk to choose. Should be around 64 gig, 64 gig range. Continue. All files in one partition recommended for new users. This is going away at the end of the semester, so yeah, it won't be great just selecting that. And it's going to show us what it's going to create. It's going to create a 4 gig swap space for mine. Yours may be different, like if you're home and have less RAM or something. The extended file system version 4 is going to be created for our root partition /. And then we have an EFI BIOS for the kernel and boot files and stuff. It's 536 meg partition that's going to be created for the secure or not secure EFI boot. And it'll be a partition you normally don't see. Same thing with Windows. Windows has those. It's hidden from you. So just continue. And that will, this page right here, you do have to make a change, otherwise it just cancels everything you did. You don't want to do that, do you? You want to hit yes, write changes to disk. It's a safety thing that somebody should just not click, 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 and accidentally wipe their system. It's their last chance to save, and that's normally if somebody accidentally left a DVD. If your computer has DVDs, you left that in your computer, it's the last chance to save you from wiping your machine that's sitting. But this is a virtual machine. We know it's not a problem. So change that to yes. Hit continue. It will now probably just be a long time before this is finished. And this is probably the great time to take a break. So I'm going to pause my recording. There's no point in watching the progress bar go across. Plus, I've got a video of the install too. So you may not need to watch this video, re-watch it from home. You may just watch the Cali install video. It came up to HTTP proxy. So you're asking the domain name, that was csnt.edu is the domain name. Look at your screen. That was, now he's before that. Yep, then go next on yours. And there's where you do the student.
What was the proxy information supposed to be?
The proxy is blank. Yep. And then you'll use pass123 password. So yeah, our proxy information on the screen is blank for those that got to this point. You just continue. Well, that's going to continue installing. I'm going to stop that share. I'm going to start video. Stop share. There we go. Stop share. And there's that screen mode. So we'll talk about the Wi-Fi hacking while we're installing stuff. So, and then we'll also talk about passwords and stuff after Wi-Fi hacking. But show you the importance of a good password. We're going to set up a Wi-Fi access point, and we're going to use this card. Say 7i Nova is the manufacturer, 7i Nova, Nova, and it is a 7U 300A is the model number. So here's the little Wi-Fi dongle, and we had to search specifically what Wi-Fi adapters allow work with Kali Linux or work with aircraft, because they are disabling some of the standard circuitry in it to prevent being able to put the thing into something called like promiscuous mode or send out spoofed addresses and stuff. They got a new cards that are they hardware lock that part out so you can't hack with them. And you probably won't have this at home to be able to hack with. So that's why I want to do next week. I've got 5 of these. So we'll pass out about 4 or 5 to, I guess 5 of them to students. And what I'll probably do is do a remote a Vayon. No, I won't be able to Vayon. How am I going to do that? I think I can hook the projector up to computer 4. And then we can make Aaron type everything so we can see what he's doing and should be able to Zoom so that people that are remoting in can see it and look at the steps. So we'll have a few people here like in class doing the Wi-Fi hacking. Then on the following Friday, the next group will come in. But it's still going to be really hard. How am I going to? You have to boot up off the DVD. Being able to see somebody else's screen when you're not connected. I won't be able to use Vayon to do that. So I'll have to think creatively how we're going to be able to see that on the for your remote people. Your remote people may just have to watch a older YouTube video on Aircrack. I may try to have that posted by Friday. I may go look up an old video so you can kind of look at what the process is that we're going to go through on cracking the system. So that's a really cool process, breaking the Wi-Fi. And after we do that lab, we'll look at some other websites on how to create secure passwords and policies and stuff, do some discussion on that. And you have a presentation coming up too, I think in about 2 weeks. I'll have to figure out when it's actually due. If it's due in the 3 weeks or if you finish it in the 3rd week and then give it in the 4th week, I'll have to look at that. If it's over identity theft. If you've had your identity stolen or if you had a relative's identity stolen, or you can look up somebody else's. It's every year. I don't think I've hardly seen a duplicate. In all the semesters I've ran that, students find either have something personal that they've had or they found new identity theft stuff. It's always really an interesting presentation that I've run into. I just wanted to show you those cards and show you that you have to have a specific Wi-Fi dongle. And Hyper-V doesn't allow you to pass this to the Cali VM. That's why that I've got these DVDs. And we'll have to boot up, we'll have to shut down our computers, boot up off these DVDs, use the dongle. And we have a Linksys. This is our access point for our classroom, TP-Link. So fairly new, it's an AC, 1750 speed. I'll have some other Wi-Fi dongles that I will connect computer number 5, I think it's already set up with the drivers. I will connect it up to the access, and we'll pretend like number 5 and this access point is a neighbor, and they're watching Epic Sax Guy on YouTube for 10 hours. So basically, I'm going to start that YouTube up, and best to have a constant stream going on. So there's constant activity that we can monitor and play with while we try to hack the password to steal their Wi-Fi. We're not going to hack in and see the Epic Sax Guy YouTube playing. We're just wanting to take over their internet. Because why would you want to pay internet when you figure out what your neighbor's Wi-Fi password is and steal it? illegal. Don't do that. We need to show why that you need to protect your home network and stuff, and why passwords are a big issue. How easy that is. And then once we figure out or do that nice hack, then we get to talk about. So you've got secure passwords. Now what's the next layer that hackers try to default to break into people? We'll get that later on. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Okay, so the screen is shared. I'm just taking a look at where everybody else is at. Alex, there's no proxy. Hit next on your screen. And that'll probably take a while now. There's everybody else. See where Nick is at. He's playing with something. Ethan, your host name. Hopefully you're listening. It's computer. You're on computer 6. You'd be Cali 6. Would be your host name. No space. It's got to be all together. Yep. And your domain name is csnt.edu. Yep. Yeah, I'm past 1, 2, 3, 4. Central time. We just do all the defaults on the disk. That very last option for disk editing, when you get to the last continue button, it'll ask you to hit yes to write it to disk. Yeah, there's where you have to change it to yes. Okay, so a lot of us are getting to this point on what do we need to install. The XFCE is a very light desktop environment, and they said that's the default. So we'll go ahead and we'll see what that looks like. And I would like to install a large collection of additional tools. That's the only thing I'm going to change is check the very bottom. Is like, I want all of the hacking tools and all of the junk on the system. So I'm going to continue after I put that last checkbox there on large. I don't know what extra it gives, but I don't want to sit there and expect a tool to be installed. And I'm sure there'll be some tools we need to apt-get and install, but I like for them to already be there if possible. See, I've got chat window. Does not bring up chat. There's my chat window. Okay. I'm gonna resume recording. Like I said, I think I have this already on week 1 YouTube on installing Kali Linux. And I'm pretty sure this happened when I did it on my laptop. And I'm just gonna continue at this point. I said software for a blind person. I'm gonna hit continue again, and maybe I don't remember that happening. Maybe it did. Maybe just I probably didn't even pay attention. Just hit continue until it went through. I'm sure it's. I think I ran into that on the other one. So hopefully that's all we had to do is just continue. No. No, I hit large and hopefully we don't have a loop here because I use the same image. I thought. Two seconds remaining. Minute and 34 seconds remaining. Well, that's interesting. Don't quite remember this. Maybe something with just these machines. Maybe it's the time of day. Probably because Christian missed on Monday. If the installation set failed again, then just continue and don't make that other selection again. See what happens. So yeah, mine popped up again. I don't know what's doing that. So I'm just going to continue and I'm going to stop changing stuff. Just continuing until it, I don't know. If it fails this time, I think I'll just go to the next step and tell it to install a grub bootloader and cross my fingers. So this screen, I'm not going to make any changes this time and just hit continue. Because the progress bar looked like it installed all of the packages. So yeah, this is definitely troubleshooting. (2012). Never have anything over 2019 catastrophe happen. Right? So for what, the first time ever we had 2 tropical storms or hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico at the same time. I like all the memes on Facebook. It's like, so who had double hurricanes for August? Yeah. Yep, I've seen that. For Louisiana. You got a 20 miles in and you're normally not too terribly bad. People are, within the first 20 miles of the coast. Yeah.
I love it the hurricanes in July.
Well, because you built there before it started sinking. Because it was above sea level in the 1700s. And then they channeled up the Mississippi so it stopped flooding, and then all of a sudden there's no more silt and the silt sinks. So that's what happened. It's just that's not the only city. There's other cities that are sinking, but Walgreens is texting me telling me that I need to refill my prescription and that my prescription is ready to pick up. Like, what? Doesn't make sense. I'm pretty sure that I don't remember if I seen something red on my laptop, but it went ahead and worked.